Welcome back to our review discussion for Batman Arkham Knight. I am Dan Stapleton, the reviewer. I loved it. With me here are Brendan Graber.
Swear to me.
Ryan McCaffrey.
Nice coat.
Destin Legary.
Hi.
And for this segment, all of you over Twitter and Facebook, where we gave you the chance to ask us questions that we'll answer here on the show. So first up, we're going to go with Tommy Tato from Twitter, who asks, what are your guys' thoughts on the lack of the boss fights in comparison to the other games? And Brendan, I know that you are a fan of boss fights.
Yeah, well, Tommy Tato, I gotta tell you straight, I was a little disappointed with that. I really loved how City incorporated their boss battles, even to an extent Origins, which got a lot of flack. Like, I love the Deathstroke boss fight, one of my favorite boss fights. The Mr. Freeze fight in City was phenomenal, and they chose to back away and go okay, here's, you're gonna take down Penguin, well, let's just press a button and take him down. Or like in Two-Face, in City, he was a post-credits boss with Catwoman, and he had a health bar, he had to take it several times, and this one, I dropped the chandelier and said, he's out. Granted, that's how you take someone out, but I mean, it's okay, that was kind of anticlimactic.
Yep.
When they did do some boss encounters, I think they did a pretty good job, some of the side quests. But the Arkham Knight was kind of anticlimactic as well. I can see why they did it, but it was I would have appreciated a few more confrontations head to head, especially if he's been trained Batman style. I want to see a one-on-one fight.
Yep. But Ryan, how about you?
I don't disagree with you, but I would say I didn't really miss them. I didn't miss them. There's hammering home this whole time. So much variety, so many different things, different gameplay elements in the game that I didn't miss the boss fights. If they would have been there, I'm sure I would have probably enjoyed them, given how they've refined them over the course of the series, but I didn't miss them in Night.
Destin, how about you?
I think I understand why they took them out. They feel like they needed to get away from that design mechanic of go through a part of the game, fight a boss, continue to the next part of the game. Like in Arkham City, you would unlock weapons by fighting the bosses, and I wish they would have had a few in there, but yeah, I was disappointed that they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the same page with you, Ryan. I think that the boss fights, there have been good ones. Deathstroke was really good, but I think they are more miss than hit in the series as a whole.
There's boss fights in this game, to be clear. They're just different.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of tank boss fights, which is
not. Right. Let's not talk about that. Batman ways.
All right. So Juan from Facebook asks, if you haven't beaten or just didn't feel like buying the other Arkham games, would this be a good place to pick it up?
Yeah, it would. Why not?
So I think yes and no. I think it's a good place to pick it up from a mechanical perspective because this is the most refined version. It's nice to come into it with experience on what works and how it works, but you can learn this just as easily as any of the other games. From a story standpoint, if you want to get what you need out of the story, I would definitely want to go back and play the other games first because
they open and tell you everything you need to know.
Well, particularly Arkham City. That's the one. That's the one to play through that really sets it. This game's very much a direct sequel to City.
You could not do Asylum and still know most.
I agree.
You could definitely not do Origins.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first 5 seconds of the game, you're just wait, what?
But yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, I think that's a good recommendation. Go back and play City first, and then Night.
Hopefully, it'll end up being one of the backwards compatible titles on Xbox One.
Yeah, and that one works on PC.
There you go.
And if you get the shot though, play them all because they're all great.
Yeah. David from Facebook asks, why was the Red Hood and Harley DLC so short after being hyped so much?
They screwed up.
No. I mean, I'll tell you why. Because pre-order DLC and all that stuff is almost always garbage. I mean, it's not garbage, but it's not good.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, it's a little bit garbagey.
It's something.
$40. Thanks.
Well, they're not individually $40.
That's not the $40 one. It's because it's to entice you to choose a different retailer. If they got this huge giant segment, people will be really pissed off that they missed this 20-hour experience.
God forbid you get value.
I don't know this for any sort of fact, but I would imagine, using my knowledge of what I've learned in this industry over the years, I would suspect that developers hate having to make pre-order DLC. They probably dislike it just as much as we. It's just one of those realities of the business that keeps the bean counters happy that they have to do, and they're fine, we'll make something so that people want to get it at Amazon.
Well, they do it for basically promotion. in exchange for promotion at stores. So like GameStop will put it in a prominent place on their shelf. It's like, oh, this is something that's exclusive to GameStop. That's why they do it. And it's not like they're not putting their A game into that. Why would they put their A material into something that only a fraction of their users are going to play? Doesn't make any sense.
Because they care about their audience. CD Projekt Red literally gave us 16 pieces of DLC for nothing.
Right, but they didn't make it retail exclusive.
Yeah, they're not retail exclusive. Like the season pass, we'll see how those turns out. But the pre-order ones,
And unfortunately, they're the exception and not the rule.
All right, we got one more question here from
That's not right, though.
From Ray Quaza. Ray Quaza.
Rayquaza. Pokemon. How do I know that?
I know why I didn't know that. From Twitter, he asks, "What's next for Rocksteady after this?"
I sure hope it's Superman, because just as there mostly hadn't been a good Batman game until Rocksteady figured out the formula with Asylum. You can make some 16-bit era arguments or some portable game elements arguments here and there, but I would love to see them take a shot. I mean, they are a wholly owned studio of Warner Brothers. They were purchased. They were an independent studio contracted, for Asylum, and then after Asylum, WB figured out, okay, these guys, let's buy these guys, and so they
let them do nothing else for 10 years.
Now, the hope is that Rocksteady gets to choose, and WB doesn't say, you're going to make this. That shouldn't happen, because if WB were dumb enough to operate that way, then all the talent would just leave. And like, fine, I don't want to make this. I'm just going to leave, and now you just have a name and you don't have the talent. So hopefully they do allow Rocksteady to choose, and I hope they'll choose Superman and figure out a way to give us that good Superman game we've always wanted.
There are enough teases alluding to that it could be Superman. It makes me really excited to see what Rocksteady can do with that property. There has not been a fantastic Superman game ever.
You don't like 64? What's wrong with you?
Now, so I'm gonna break rank here. I would like to see them do something original.
Me too.
Because I mean they've been making other people's characters for so long. I want to see what they can come up with on their own.
And Rocksteady's last original game didn't turn out so well.
I actually liked, what was it called? It was
some like
Chaos.
Fireman game.
Oh, but there was Urban Chaos.
That's
I think
it.
their first one. I actually liked that game. That was like GTA 3 before GTA 3.
I would beg to differ, but
At the time it was great, and the cheat codes were fantastic. But I played that quite a bit. But oh yeah, so I don't necessarily know that they're the team I want to tackle Superman, simply because the mechanics of Superman are going to be entirely different from Batman. I don't think there are a whole lot of.
But that's the point, though. You give that creative team a chance to do something different creatively.
But it's going to take an entirely different technology. Like Superman's combat, like is throwing people through walls and
they'll
like
now
bringing
have,
buildings
they'll have
down.
unlimited resources to do that.
I just don't. There are lots of developers I would like to see take a crack at Superman. I'm not saying that it has to be Rocksteady to do it.
It doesn't have to be,
right?
But I'd like to see it.
And last point, I know this is like what do we want them to do, but you have to also look at the reality is the studios under WB's banner work on WB licensed properties, whether it's now Monolith doing Middle Earth games. There's going to be a Shadow of Mordor 2. That's inevitable. Even Mortal Kombat they acquired, but that's NetherRealm won't be making anything else unless maybe it's an Injustice game, which is still their characters. So Rocksteady will almost certainly be working on some sort of WB property. I hope it's Superman.
I just want to say I want them to do what they want to do. Let them be free.
Be free, little Rocksteady. Yes. All right. Well, that's what we're hoping for. Let us know what you're hoping for, and thank you for joining us for the Arkham Knight review discussion panel.